So in my role as an extension specialist, I work directly with extension educators who are in Minnesota, located across the state, but I'm also part of a larger network of extension where educators are located across the country. We also work with after-school programs. We also work directly with schools, so it might be social workers or guidance counselors in schools. It could be folks in public health. It could be community ed programs. A lot of programs that work with youth and families. Yeah, and so I try to have my students involved in sort of all phases of the research process through lit review, IRB applications, data collection, data analysis. And since my research is applied, that could look a variety of different ways. And so, for example, I had a student who was working with me who we had some evaluation data from our community partners, and so she was able to help analyze that and disseminate that back as evaluation reports to our community partners. I had another student who was interested in the role of technology in families, so building off the research that we had been doing and the literature review she had been doing, we developed that into an online research update for professionals where they could go online and get the latest research in a particular area. I think I would say I'm driven to discover the role of technology in family relationships and how we can use technologies to better support parents in their parenting role. One of the interesting things about technology is that it's changing so fast and so quickly that it's hard for anybody to keep up, but it's really hard for families to keep up. And so hopefully my research can help contribute to helping families navigate some of that rapidly changing landscape and provide support for that. The other thing, one of the things that I think is really interesting that we consistently find is, anecdotally, we hear pretty regularly that technology is taking over communication and parents and kids don't talk anymore, and the only way your kids want to talk to you is if they text you, and we regularly find that's just not true. And every time we've looked at we ask about face-to-face communication, and that's still really important. And when something comes up with a kid and something they want to talk to their parent about something important, they still want to talk to them. And it could be over the phone, and it could be face-to-face. It doesn't mean they're not texting them. You know, they're texting them to check in. They, you know, for a whole range of things, technology is helpful, but it doesn't seem to be fully replacing the interactions that are happening in families. I think I came to technology because of my interest in family dynamics, and I've always been interested in, like, my dissertation was on college students, and I've always been interested in risk-taking and the ways that young people try out new things, and so that's actually one of the things we've been looking at related to technology use as well, is what does risk-taking look like online? And so when we think about potentially dangerous behaviors that young people are doing online, whether it's sending sexually explicit images, giving out personal information, those sorts of things, is that related to what we think of as more traditional risk behaviors like drinking or other substance use? So we're starting to look at some of that behavior as well. But I think with an interest in that population, it's hard not to understand the role of technology. And I also came to it, I think, through my interest in working with professionals. And that's over the years I started working with Extension when I was a graduate student. And one of the things we saw even back then was budgets were decreasing. There were fewer staff available. They didn't have money to travel for professional development, and yet there was an increased demand for them to stay up to date on research. And so I got interested in how we can use technology to support that in ways that are constructive and not just say we need to put everything online, but really understand the ways to effectively do that to reach professionals. And so I think my interest just expanded from there. I think that's part of the intent of the system. So one of what's supposed to be innovative and part of the richness of Extension is that Extension educators who are located out in the state are supposed to be connected to campus faculty. So there's that research application connection, and so that's sort of the basis of what extension is built on.